Ugh, the dreaded salary expectations question. Listen, you're not alone in hating that. After watching this video, you will no longer be playing the salary guessing game, nor will you be worrying about selling yourself short or aiming too high and getting screened out. So welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Annie Little. I'm a former lawyer turned career coach, and I created this channel for lawyers who are looking for a practical process for finding and landing their ideal job. Okay, so a little background on where this whole salary expectation guessing game situation comes from. At the beginning of the interview process or the application process, employers are really just looking to find somebody to fill their open seat at the lowest cost to them possible. So when they ask you about your salary range or your salary expectations, they're hoping that it's going to be lower than what they have budgeted for the role themselves. But here's what I want you to know about that. You have no obligation to help them lowball you. Because let's get real, you're applying for a job, not to be a contestant on The Price is Right. Okay, so one thing that's really important to get straight before we go into this any deeper is some salary terminology. There are two things that employers may try to ask you. One may be your salary history, and the other will be salary expectations. So let's break it down. So salary history is what you've actually made in the past, whether at your current job or prior jobs. And salary requirements are what you expect to earn in the future. Okay, so salary history, easy, but you're thinking, how am I supposed to figure out what my salary expectations are? Like, I would love to make $1 million next year, but I know that's a little out of range. So what you're going to do is a little bit of market research. You're going to figure out what a realistic salary range would be for this particular role. There's a few ways you can go about doing this. You can ask people who've worked there before, people who are currently working there. Think about if it's a similar role to what you've had, or you have some other sort of reference that can factor in. Also, you can actually go to nalp.org. They have listings of what people are making in different sectors, not just big law. So you can get an idea of what a prosecutor is making, or a public defender, or someone in public interest, and of course, big law. And so that's just to give you like a ballpark for yourself. Then another thing to consider is if you're looking in a different location is to consider the cost of living. You're going to want to check out a cost of living calculator online. And you can find those at places like salary.com or nerdwallet.com. And that'll just let you know, hey, if your range for salary in this location is X, this is how far X will get you in this new location. And so that will give you some additional context for understanding what your salary range and requirements might be in a different location. All right, so I had you figuring out what your salary range would be. But here's what I need you to remember. This is for your reference only, okay? You're going to have a range, you're going to have like a ballpark number. Don't share it with them, okay? You do not have to, and I encourage you not to. All right, so let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this whole video. What should you share and what should you not? Don't share your salary history. Okay, couple reasons for this. One is that in many states, it's actually illegal for employers to ask for this information. If you're curious if that's something that's prohibited in your jurisdiction, you can check out the Department of Labor for your state. But regardless of whether or not it's prohibited by law, you do not need to share that information. It's none of their business. What you're currently being paid has no bearing on the value of what you could bring to the organization in this new job. So it's irrelevant. Let's just keep it out of the discussion entirely. Don't provide a salary range before they do. Remember, this isn't a guessing game. They have a range or a budget in mind. And it's fair game for you to ask what their range is first. Another reason you don't want to share your range is that Your range may very well change the more you learn about the position. It may have been advertised one way, but once you get into the interview process and you learn how much they're really going to be expecting of you, your range might go up or down. Do provide an answer when they ask about your salary requirements. You don't want to ignore their requests, you don't want to seem dodgy, and if it's on an application, you don't want to look like someone who doesn't know how to follow directions. But again, going back to my familiar refrain of this isn't a guessing game, it's fair for you to say, hey, I don't really know what my range is because I don't know enough about the job yet. So you could say something like, my salary range is negotiable based on the job responsibilities and the overall compensation package. Do emphasize that your salary expectations are negotiable. By emphasizing that your range is negotiable, it gives you and the employer some wiggle room to negotiate down the road. In other words, you're basically telling the employer, hey, even if I did have a range, which I don't, I'm not wedded to it at this point. Do stay strong. Even if they had a budget or a salary range in mind, they might be willing to adjust it upward to avoid losing you to a competitor. But even if that's not the case, and they're insistent about having you give them your range, please stay strong. Again, just reiterate that you don't have enough details to come up with a range for a job you don't know enough about yet. So you can say something like, I haven't had time to assess my salary expectations because I'm still learning about the details of this role. Plus, I don't know how the company is valuing the role in terms of overall compensation. But if you wanted to provide a range that the company is considering, I'm happy to let you know if that's in the ballpark of what works for me. A side note here. If they continue to hound you, even after you've respectfully told them that you're not going to be sharing your range because you don't have enough information to do so, I want you to step back and consider, does this company really value their employees if all they're trying to do is find any way to lowball me? I'm not saying that that should be like your main reason for just walking away or anything like that, but just file that away for later as you get further down the road in terms of negotiations. Also, when dealing with a recruiter, they may be particularly insistent that you give them a range. Stay strong. You can do this, all right? So if you're interested in figuring out how to land more interviews so that you can practice these negotiation skills, I would love for you to check out my free masterclass, 3 Simple Strategies for Uncovering Any Lawyer's Transferable Skills. I've linked it in the description below. Once you nail those strategies, you are gonna be up to your eyeballs in salary discussions and job offers. Stay strong.